Lovers Quarrel. It's a long, sustained quarrel.
What's going on, world?
Hey, everybody.
It's your guy, TJ, Mr. New Cool.
And it's your girl, Dani, your fairly fatigued flounder.
That felt weird.
It's been a while.
It's been like 7 episodes, 16 months.
Not 16 months, maybe 7 episodes. But we're back.
Are we?
Yes. And we're here. And welcome to another episode of Lovers Quarrel. I know you guys have been wondering what the hell, because we kind of dropped off the face of the earth for a little bit.
Our last episode was February 15th.
And it's April 5th when this episode drops. So
February 15th.
like a month and a half. 2 months.
The 22nd,
Oh
the
my
1st,
gosh.
the
Yeah.
8th, the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th. 6 episodes.
6
I was close. I told you.
I mean, I wasn't taking.
I wasn't counting because I'm just like, we're never coming back. So it is what it is.
You have a flair for the dramatic, so
I mean, that wouldn't be me if I wasn't dramatic.
exactly. Because 16 months, I knew
It wouldn't be me if I wasn't nasty.
Oh.
What artist is that?
I'm having a brain fart right now. I can't remember.
Come on, that's Trey Songz, bro.
Well,
Anyway, go ahead.
he's definitely accurate in describing himself as nasty. That's a wild boy. So, with that being said, like we said, we're here, we're back. I know you guys are probably wondering, like, what the hell, Dani and TJ, where have y'all been? What's been going on? So, I guess we could just, touch on a few things in our elevator. Are we going?
So listen, we haven't recorded because of Dani. So listen, I'm gonna tell y'all like I always tell you. I'm always gonna be truthful with y'all. If we don't record, it's because of Dani. It's only been like 2 episodes in our 3 years that I didn't want to record.
Okay, but I feel like
I'm just saying. I just want to put it out there. Put the onus on Dani, y'all.
you always want to put the onus on me, but
I mean,
I'll take
listen,
it. I'll take it. I ain't
You
never
gotta be accountable.
I ain't never been no hoe.
I mean,
I ain't never been no hoe.
you got it. I ain't gonna disrespect you.
So we gonna get on the elevator. We gonna talk. What we gonna do?
We gonna talk. What up?
You gonna put your phone on silent? Can you not?
Oh my gosh.
Can you not scroll while we're talking?
I got you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So,
Where have we been? Because you gonna drag this thing out.
all right. Well,
So-
listen, good.
Listen, man, we about to get a divorce for nah, that'd have been dope for April Fools. No, we have not been recording because Dani's pregnant.
Yes, I am.
So baby number 2 is on the way.
Oh,
And Dani has had the worst first trimester that I've ever experienced. It probably ruined my chances of having a 3rd child because she's dramatic. It was dramatic. The whole situation.
I'm dramatic.
She was out of control. The baby's out of control. The whole damn place is out of control. You don't know what that's from either.
That's from Martin,
All
nigga.
right. I gotta make sure.
Don't insult my intelligence.
You only started
like that.
watching Martin when you was like 22.
Well, that's
Anyway.
fine. But yes, y'all, no jokes here. No belated April Fools. I am pregnant and I am feeling a lot better. Still having some, moments here and there, but the first trimester did kick my ass. And that is part of why our last episode was in February, because right around that time was when I was barely functioning and could barely muster the energy to.
Now y'all all know if it was me, right? If men can be pregnant in like a hypothetical, I would have thugged it through. But we can't all be me, so.
And I did a few episodes pregnant, so let's be clear about that, because I found that I was pregnant in January, and so I did several episodes, and then as soon as I started feeling like complete doo-doo is when I was like, I just, I had to call an audible, and I will own it and take the onus and accountability and stuff like that.
About
because
time.
Whatever, because and this is basically my elevator, so I can talk about that too. But we are very excited for the new baby. I'm due in September. Specifically, my due date is September 22nd. So one way or the other,
Sorry, I'm trying to put this on
may
mute.
have potentially a Virgo, potentially a Libra, depending, because I'm right there at the cusp. So I don't know. I need all the insights for how to handle a Virgo or Libra child. We do not know the sex as of this episode. when this drops, because I'm not quite far along yet for us to even know one way or the other, and we're still on the fence about whether or not we're going to find out, because if you guys recall, we did not find out the sex of Tatum until she was born. So
which is what I wanted to do, but then Dani said for this one she wanted to figure it out and all this other stuff for Tatum, and then recently she said that she don't want to figure it out. So
I've had some mixed feelings. Yes, I can admit that. So we will come to some type of.
I just want y'all to all just see what I see. You know what I mean? She's indecisive.
I'm not indecisive. I'm very decisive most of the time.
Okay. Most of the time.
You're indecisive.
I know I am.
And at least I'm indecisive about big shit. You indecisive about what to fucking eat for dinner.
That's because I don't. Anyway, this is not about me. It's about you, bro.
So, yeah, y'all. I mean, the first trimester hit, like, I hit 6-7 weeks, and it was like, oh my God, the fatigue, the nausea, the vomiting, the heartburn. And, I really do feel like it's a difference between, I feel like there's a difference in my experience, because I did have those things with Tatum, but I feel like it's been amplified. And my suspicion is that it has to do with some type of like being my bariatric surgery, having the weight loss surgery has like amplified that. I couldn't take like the heartburn medicine, the over-the-counter heartburn medicine I take on a daily. My obstetrician was like, you can't take that during the first trimester. You have to wait till you're 12 weeks. So for like, it's kind of like I had pregnancy heartburn plus the heartburn that was like the side effect from my weight loss surgery. So it felt like double the amount, and it felt like that shit was burning a hole in my back. And it made me not want to eat anything. I mean, I was pretty much at one point like living off of like water, almond milk, bread, and cheese, because that was the only thing I could probably get down. This time around, I lost weight in the beginning of the pregnancy, and I've gained it back in a couple more pounds, but it's just like, just to show you, kind of describe to you guys how cruddy I was feeling. So, I just didn't have it in me. And so, and I'm glad we did take a break, because even though it definitely started because I was feeling terrible, and I'm just, in these last few weeks starting to really feel more like myself. But I'm also happy because it allowed for TJ and I to, reconnect, for me to do some things like with my family, with Tatum, and feel a little bit more, just taking care of my mental health, self-care, without feeling like that. What sometimes can feel like that nagging feeling of like, oh my God, we didn't record. We got to get this done. So yeah, but we are definitely very excited. We're very blessed. It's still a really healthy pregnancy. I'm doing well. I'm healthy. And I'm, going with the motions. Tatum is, I would say for the most part, she's excited about being a big sister.
I think she is too, but
her initial response was funny.
With Tatum, you got to figure it out, because she's very dramatic. She's always in acting mode. So I don't know what's real and what's fake, but because originally she told us she wasn't raising any more babies, and it's like, sis, you know what I mean? But I think it's just her own PTSD from her raising her own children.
Exactly, her doll babies.
And
I'm not taking care of no more babies.
So.
But yeah, she when she found out that she could shop for the baby, she warmed up to the idea a little bit more, because she likes to shop like her daddy. But yeah, so that's what's been going on with us. And I mean, that was my elevator. About excited about the new baby is my up, and the baby has been kicking my ass was my down. But yeah, so surprise, y'all. I hope you're as excited as we are, and are prepared for a journey till September. And then, we probably will have to take a little bit of maternity leave then. But
that one will be like planned. It won't be like this one.
Yeah, and we'll let y'all know once I'm at the hospital and all that jazz.
Otherwise, if Dani don't tell you again, I'm firing her from the show.
This show don't work without me, niggas.
Listen, I'm going to have to find someone else to quarrel with.
I mean,
I can quarrel with anybody.
Yeah, you can, but don't nobody got time for you like I do.
A lot of people do.
Nobody has the patience I have with you.
Well, you have the patience of Job.
I know.
With everybody.
Pretty much.
Any and everybody.
Pretty much.
Anything.
Well,
unless you don't like them. If you don't like them, you have no patience.
But it takes a lot for me not to like somebody.
But I know there's a lot of people that you don't like. I would say the name, but I'm not going to say it.
There's very few people I can count on one hand how many people I truly dislike.
Okay, I'm just saying.
And all those people they have given themselves plenty of rope to hang themselves with. I do not hate people. I do not dislike people off.
Listen, you're over here prefacing to me for no reason or trying to explain.
You trying to make it seem like I'm quick to pass judgment.
I didn't. I feel like you were just projecting your inner feelings. It's not about me. It's about you.
But what? Yo, I can't stand you. But what's your elevator, sir? So we can.
My elevator's up. Listen, I would go down, but it's not. A lot has happened from February until now. My grandfather passed away. R.I.P. G Daddy. I went to New York for the first time. I got to hug my grandmothers for the first time in a year. So that was exciting. We got to give my grandfather a nice homegoing. There's a lot of people at the funeral. You know what I mean? Where we stayed masked up. Danny had a negative COVID test. You know what I mean?
Yes.
No vid over here. I celebrated my birthday. It was actually one of the best birthdays I've had. But 33 definitely kicked my ass.
You're welcome.
You did. I was very shocked. But that's what happens when you have like such low expectations.
You're so shady.
So it's like you could have did anything. You could have been like, here goes some gummy bears. I'd have been like, oh shit, you got me something.
You made me sound like such an asshole.
I'm not making you sound like anything other than what you're projecting out to the world. But this is my elevator. And for real, I don't feel like it's the same. That's what happens when you take a hiatus. I didn't get a going up. I didn't get any of that.
Okay, I apologize. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Going up.
This raggedy ass elevator.
Whatever.
Back to what I was saying. So
and our anniversary.
You're right. Our anniversary came before
your birthday.
But who cares about?
We celebrated.
You should just be happy
our 8th wedding anniversary.
That you got renewed. For real.
Yo.
Listen, that's something in my relationship too. Tip 2. Marriage should be on a year-to-year basis. It should be like the NBA.
You've said this before.
Okay, so I'm bringing it back. Let's redo it.
You lucky I renew your contract, nigga.
Nah. You need me. Listen, I make you shine.
Yeah, because you're so lousy. It's not hard.
Fuck out of here. Anyway, yes. So listen, my grandfather passed away on March 8th.
Yes.
Our wedding anniversary was March 9th. I went up, got to see my family. We celebrated my grandfather. Man, he was an amazing man. Yes. Is an amazing man. I learned some stuff about him that I had no idea. And it just, But one thing I'll say about my grandfather is that he lived his life.
Yes. 91 years.
91. No, 90.
90. He would have been 91 this year. Excuse me.
He never complained. He's a cancer survivor. We do believe that the cancer is what took him out. Because it came back stronger, and he went to the hospital, missed his chemo, and it was pretty much like
there's not much else they can do.
Yeah, they could have still given it to him, but it wouldn't have helped him. So it was like just making him comfortable. He had like 6 months, and he passed in like 2 weeks. But my grandfather, lived his life to the fullest. So while I was sad that first day, after that I was good because he truly lived his life to the best of his ability. And like I said, I never heard him complain, and I think that was amazing. And then I celebrate my birthday. Like I said, Dani, we did paintballing and axe throwing. I beat a whole bunch of people in racing.
Foot races, yeah.
Because everyone thinks that I'm slow. Like even at my biggest weight, I was still fast. I was always quick on my feet.
TJ was definitely a sprinter.
Oh, 100%. But I had to really show people that.
You put the jets on.
Exactly. So birthday was fire. And then just celebrating family and life and love and everything else. You just it reinforces the positivity. So like I said, we're recording on the 4th. This is my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, Shayla.
Happy birthday to my 44, sister.
And you look 44.
Shut up. Nobody ever believes that she and I are 10 years apart.
And, she's huge to my life, I would say. So
definitely.
She's, the greatest titi ever, greatest aunt ever. But, she's just a great person. So being able to celebrate her was amazing. Got to spend time with my nephews, my nieces. Like, again, I'm a big family guy. So I'm taking this elevator up just to be positive. Also, during the time, Dani took me to a hotel for the week as a getaway, a staycation, vacation, whatever you want to call
for
it.
our anniversary.
But we're not doing. Well, it was for the anniversary, but it wasn't during. Anyway,
It was the weekend before.
I'm like your sister. I'm superstitious. I only
Shut
celebrate it
up.
during the time.
Go
But
ahead.
yeah, you know,
Go ahead.
it's been a positive time. Shout out to my man Rock, and I want to shout him out specifically because he posted something early in the year about guys giving gifts to each other. So I made it a point to make sure I got him a gift for his birthday, and he got me a gift for my birthday. And he was like, for a man who got everything, what do you get him? And he got me a charger. And y'all may laugh and be like, it's just a charger, but the fact that he even thought about me, and he got me something else that hasn't come yet. So, but like I said, I'm thankful for the smallest things. Just the fact that people send me a message or wish me a happy birthday, I'm appreciative. Shout out to Reek. Reek reached out to me, my family, of course, but I'm just thinking about people who, like, you don't have to reach out to me, but you do it. Tatum got me water bottles.
Yes, she did.
And I use those for, like, I mean, like, it keeps the temperature. So,
Like a thermos water bottle. Yeah.
so I keep it, you know. So I like to have a drink for me
in the middle of the
in
night.
the middle of the night. So, you know, that's like one of my favorite gifts. And it's the simple things, but I truly appreciate those who, like, think about me and wish me, you know, happy birthday and send love. It's like the words mean a lot, and, you know, I'm appreciative of that. So that's what I'm celebrating. I'm just celebrating 2021 to continue going up, and, you know, 2020, although we had the pandemic, it was a good year. 2021 is looking like a good year as well. So
Yep. I mean, listen, we got, and we're about this episode will drop tomorrow, but by this coming Wednesday, we will have a 4-year-old. Tatum is
oh
good.
shit, yeah, that's another up. Tatum will be 4
On April 7th.
We're gonna be celebrating. Her and her Titi are having a
Purple Rain 4 party.
4 party.
Exactly.
Where I have to wear purple.
Because they both like the color
I
purple.
mean, listen, alphas don't wear purple, but for my Tatum, I would.
Yeah, you can wear lavender. And so,
I'm gonna wear it on my boot.
and because Tatum is turning 4 and my sister just turned 44 today, we're gonna have a little, you know, get together at the house and, you know, with the family and stuff and just celebrate them. But yeah, I can't believe we've already had this little girl for 4 years, and she is, like I like to say, she is the bee's knees. She is smart and funny and silly and dramatic and kind, and she's just the best. And, you know, now she'll add big sister to her title this year. And, you know, we can keep you guys posted on our, you know, of course, during the episodes, on our experiences and our journeys. Now we head on into being parents of 2, and this is a little different this time because last time, you know, when we rebranded and came back as Lovers Quarrel, we already had Tatum. She wasn't even a year old, but we already were parents and stuff. So
that's when we came back.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, is like now, you know, this time around, you guys get to be a part of our process as like pregnancy and then parents for the second time around. So, you know, any of you guys who are parents to 2 or more kids, we, you know, welcome your insight and your feedback, because by the fall we will have a 4-year-old and a newborn. So pray for us. But that is our elevator for this week. And now we are going to jump into our relationship tip of the week. Would you like to go first? Or would you like
Sure.
me to go first? Okay.
So my tip is stop subscribing to the internet for advice on how to live your life.
Derek Jackson.
People love putting shit they see online into their relationship. And I think that we got to stop because, again, you know, we all have, you know, opinions about different couples and different celebrity couples and their relationships and things that you see online. But we got to stop taking those things and putting that into our relationships because, again, what works for you and your partner works for you and your partner. That may not work for every partner. So we can't, you know, again, what works for that celebrity couple, they have different things that they have different factors and stuff like that. But just in general, everyone is different. So again, my parents were okay with me passing classes. I mean, they may have wanted me to have higher grades, but as long as I was passing, it wasn't an issue. Whereas other parents may be like, no, you got to have at least a 90. You got to have at least B average. You know, it's just those different things. Dani raised her hand because, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with you in the sentiment that, yeah, like growing up, like I had to be.
We both graduated from the same.
I'm not taking that away from you. We're just talking about the expectation.
Nah, I just wanted the listeners to hear that.
We know that grades are not indicative of how intelligent somebody is. I'm just saying. Sometimes indicative of the amount of work they complete or effort they put in.
And I mean, listen, if we're going to be serious about it all, we all know that all this stuff is lined in systematic racism.
In a lot of ways, the things that we're taught, yeah. But education is always important as long as it's a well-rounded one.
So that's just my tip. My tip is that, listen, you got to live your life the way that you're going to live your life and do what's best for you. And if that means that people are going to be uncomfortable, in the words of my father, somebody's going to be uncomfortable, but it ain't going to be me. So that's my tip for the week.
All right. Well, my relationship tip for this week, I wanted to touch, so one other thing that TJ and I started while we were on our hiatus is that he and I started to attend couples therapy. And we started to do so because, I mean, really more than anything, especially now that we knew that we were, you know, we knew that we were going to be trying for a new baby. And we know that we both remembered the tailspin that can be a marriage, that your marriage or your relationship with your partner can go into when you add a baby into the mix. And so kind of in the spirit of being proactive, he and I, you know, elected to start couples therapy pretty much as soon as I found out I was pregnant, in order for us to really kind of work on us and our communication skills and our issues, and to be better prepared or better communicators with each other and more of a team when by the time this new baby arrives, because it's going to be hard regardless. It's going to be amazing and we're going to be happy and our family will have grown, but it's also going to be difficult and challenging because it's just a stressful time and you're also running on fumes all the time. But to make my point about the tip though, is that one thing that we've learned, or one thing that kind of like our particular brand of couples therapy that we attend, our therapist subscribes to, is really examining how your childhood informs and impacts like your conflict skills and approach in relationships. And so I wanted to kind of pass that tip that process that we're kind of going through exercises for with our own therapy, is like looking at our own like family dynamics, like the people we grew up with in our household, and examining how you were taught or you saw how people engaged in conflict, or how people engaged in conflict resolution or in conflict, their approach to conflict, how that informs you, like how you deal with conflict then when you're in your own marriage or your own relationship. And I mean, I think I speak for us both when it's like been really eye-opening, and like some ways it's even been almost kind of like obvious sometimes, like when our therapist brings it to our attention, we're like, damn, I am like that. And he's like, TJ's like, damn, I do that. And we see it from how we grew up. So I wanted to pass that on to you all, is like when you think about how you fight, how you argue, how you deal with conflict, think about your own childhood and what you were exposed to, what you saw as being the way to do it. And, you know, start to try and make those connections about how that informs your approaches in your current relationships. And, you know, there might be things that you can hold on to because it's not always negative, but then there's also things that you realize that like, damn, that probably wasn't the best way. And that's probably why I act the way I do. So that way you can work on it. But that is my relationship tip of the week. And I think definitely if me and TJ get any more, you know, which we have, and if we get some more gems from our own couples therapy, I have no issue with us kind of passing those along to you all. But I'm really proud of us for even attending couples therapy.
True.
So that is my relationship tip. And with that being said, we are going to jump to our Black History Fact, because we celebrate Black History 365 over here in the Lovers Quarrel podcast.
Facts.
So I will go first. And on the day that this episode drops, April 5th, but in 1973, music super producer Pharrell Williams was born in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I recently read in an article, which is probably why I picked it, and I thought it was pretty cool, was that in the year 2003, Pharrell, as either like his own individual producer or as a part of the Neptunes, was responsible for 43% of the songs on the radio in that year.
Impressive.
That's wild. Like, to know that 43% of the songs on the radio you made, shit is bananas.
I mean, he's definitely one of the top producers.
Oh yeah, he's one of the GOATs as far as the producing is concerned.
So, on my Black History fact is on April 3rd, 1964, Malcolm X did his speech, The Ballot or the Bullet. And he was advising African Americans to exercise their right to vote, and that he cautioned that if the government continued to prevent African Americans from attaining full equality, it might be necessary for them to take up arms. It was also the first time that he was like discussing his relationship with the Nation of Islam, because you know they excommunicated him and everything. And during this pandemic, Malcolm X became like a big part of my life. I would say he became a hero to me. I read his autobiography, and just to kind of see, you know, who he was, how powerful he was, how powerful his words were. And it just showed that, you know, white people are afraid of, you know, black people with plans, or black people who can organize. Same reason why the Black Panther Party was considered a terrorist group. But not the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, listen, we're not going to talk about America spelled with K's. It was a great speech, and you know, I'm a huge Malcolm X fan. You know, my father's always loved him. My mother was like was Martin Luther King, and you know, I always think it's crazy, like reading his book to see that how he started and how he kind of changed his views, because he was very radical, very much like separate but equal. And then when he did his pilgrimage, it's not called pilgrimage. When he went to Mecca, is it called the pilgrimage? Yeah, you can call. Yeah, they call it. When he went his journey to Mecca, pilgrimage to Mecca. Yeah, he got to see that. You know, is it called the Hajj? I think that's other Islamic people. He got to see that there were white Islamics, and you know, he got to see that Islam wasn't just African Americans, and that what Nation of Islam was kind of pushing was kind of like separation. But you know, they kind of showed him an amazing time, and you know, he started to change his views. And it's crazy because like towards the end of his life, his view was changing. Same way with Martin Luther King. They were kind of meeting in the middle somewhere. Yeah, they both were turning into each other later on in their lives. But very important speech, and I just thought that was a great topic to touch on. So I think that was an amazing topic. And yes, it's the official like Islamic term is a Hajj, Hajj, which is the annual Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca. So, but you know, people call it a pilgrimage all the time. Well, I appreciate the information. Thank you for that, because I didn't know the actual date of that particular speech. But I think that that's a fascinating fact, and thank you for that. And it's been really kind of cool to kind of sometimes be within earshot of you as you listen to like the different audibles about Malcolm X and kind of like his backstory, the more detailed history of like his upbringing, his life, his shenanigans before he got into, you know, before he went to prison and after. So the new book. So me and my father started reading. Started doing this audible, and we're going to start doing it more often, where we, you know, pick different books that we listen and then we kind of discuss. So it's called The Dead Are Rising, and it's kind of the life of Malcolm X, written by Les Payne and Tamara Payne, his daughter, and it's just kind of going over the different facts about Malcolm X, and it's picking apart like different stories based off of his autobiography, that, you know, based off of what his siblings' views were compared to what Malcolm's view was. So it's kind of like, you know, just kind of seeing or getting a different viewpoint of Malcolm X, or how his view was different than his siblings. So true that.
Well, thank you for that, my good sir. And now I would be remiss if, it's been, TJ's had 6 long episodes or weeks to think about this and to come up with a word to try and stump me with his word.
The word of the week is bibliomania.
Oh my, okay, you just gonna cut me off?
Yes, because yeah.
I was trying
passionate enthusiasm for collecting and possessing books.
Sounds like your sister.
Yes, it's definitely
Ashley.
Ashley is a bibliomania.
Bibliomaniac.
Whatever. That's why I stick to the words. You can do the grammar.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that helps. The definition definitely helps because. So, biblio is books. All right. So, BIBLIOMANIA.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You stumped me.
I stomached you or I stumped you?
I said you stumped me.
I thought you said I stomached you.
No, I didn't.
Biblio means book. Mania obviously means crazy. Crazy about books.
Got you.
And she's crazy about books.
She's definitely crazy about books. So, Dani, we've recorded so long ago, I don't know if I stumped her the last time or not, but the streak continues.
The streak, for me?
Yeah, or either continues or begins.
I think it started back up. I think you stumped me like maybe once or twice. I had a good run as soon as the new year turned, and then you got me like at least once or twice. Yeah. I can be honest about that.
Sometimes.
I can't fucking deal with you.
Anyway.
Anywho, so now, you guys, it would be, not Lovers Quarrel if we didn't have something to quarrel or discuss about a particular hot topic. I know we've missed quite a few things that have gone on in the world since we last recorded. But before we get into that, I do want to always make sure to encourage you guys to make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure that you like, share, follow, tag. On Instagram, we are at Lovers Quarrel Show. On Twitter, we are at Lovers Quarrel 7. Now that we are back, we will be a bit more engaging on those pages. And then
you promise?
I promise.
All right.
And because he and I both will do engagement on those pages.
Hold her accountable, y'all.
And so we will both be engaging on those. And of course, if you guys have any feedback, question, comments, concerns, headaches, or heartaches, you email us at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. I guess I haven't given a lot thought to how we're going to do with our Instagram lives or anything like that, but we can kind of
we're gonna have to play it.
We're gonna play that one by ear.
Today you're live, tomorrow you're gonna be like, I'm dying.
Well, that's what happens when you're carrying a whole baby.
Oh my gosh,
I'm growing eyeballs and elbows over here, nigga.
Yes, that's because that's what you are supposed to do.
Your baby.
Your baby. That's what happens.
Yeah, and so
that's the luxury of being a woman. You get to create
luxury.
Yes.
Okay. It is a blessing,
okay,
but also that as long as we know that is just how it will be dictated by, sometimes how I feel.
Okay, but exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I would even set people up.
I'm not setting people up. I'm just letting people know.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen.
Anyway.
As we were, before I was so rudely interrupted, make sure you guys like, share, follow, tag, talk to us, engage with us, and we will be happy to do so with you all. But now it's time for our quarrel of the week. And TJ wanted to talk about, I guess, the issue that is double standards, which we have talked about, I think, before in other lenses. This more recent conversation around double standards has to do with, at least it started around the conversation around Quavo and Saweetie. And so, of course, if you've been keeping up with the internets even slightly in pop culture, you know that Saweetie and Quavo were a couple, but they are no longer together. And then shortly after their announcement of their breakup, a video footage of them engaged in a physical altercation is what I would call it, occurred, and they were in an altercation over this orange case of sorts. And
first off, what do you think was on the case? I've heard money.
I've heard somebody said it was a Call of Duty case, but I guess it was because it looked like like ones that they use.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
it looked like almost like a case that like equipment goes in. It didn't look like a
so
it didn't
listen,
look like luggage.
I'm saying so. My guys were saying it's a PS5. Listen, you can't fuck with the PS5.
Oh my god.
Someone else was saying with money. So,
I have no idea what was in the case. It obviously.
That's why I said, what do you think it was? That's why I said,
I don't know.
Think.
I don't. Something of importance to the two of them at the moment. That's what I think was in the case.
Got you. Anyway, go ahead.
What do you think was in the case?
I like the PS5 idea. Makes it funny, but it's probably cash or I don't know. But go ahead.
So yeah, so they were involved in a physical altercation, and then
Wait. We're not gonna say it wasn't.
Was it not a physical altercation?
Because physical makes it seem like they were like throwing bows or something like that.
No, but there was a physical. It was an altercation because they were obviously like it was a scuffle.
There was a tussle.
Okay, and it was physical. So my thing is,
I know, but physical altercation. When you think of physical altercation, I think about fisticuffs.
Okay, that's what you think. I'm thinking physical altercation is probably the best way to describe it because there's so much, depending on who you ask, there's so much fervor around. Did he push her? Did she hit him?
Actually, you're right.
So
it follows. A physical altercation is generally a confrontational tussle or display of physical aggression that may or may not result in injury.
Thank you. I feel like that was the most neutral term I could correct.
I just feel like it sounds so much worse than what it really was. But go ahead.
You applied
Finish talking.
your own meaning to it.
Finish talking.
So, yeah, they were involved in a physical altercation.
Okay, douchebag.
And what?
Huh?
What'd you say?
That's okay, douchebag.
Don't interrupt me.
You got it.
Exactly. Because clearly I know what words mean.
I didn't say it.
So,
anyway, go ahead. Finish talking.
Anyway, so then, of course, there was, obviously, once the video dropped, there were a lot of course, people with a lot of opinions and insight. And they ranged from Quavo needs his ass beat. He know he wrong. That's abusive. To Saweetie shouldn't have put her hands on him. She deserves everything she gets. To they both were wrong. To this isn't abuse. This is this. This isn't this. This isn't that. To he should have helped her up. To she should have basically
should he have helped her up?
I think that, so I can look at it from two lenses of like, on one hand, like if you are upset with someone, like you're not, and you just got into a physical altercation with them, you may not be as inclined to help them up if it was like, just like, oh, she fell, like she was somewhere and she fell. But I also think that like, at that time, there's also the notion that that's your woman, and even though y'all in a physical scuffle, it was like she's obviously like she limped off the elevator, so she's hurt in some manner. So
people be selling it sometimes, but go ahead.
Okay, well the appearance is that she's
hurt. She sold it well enough for you. So go ahead.
Okay. Using my eyes and my observational skills, it appears as if she was hurt. So. Or she was struggling to get up. So, and that also could be a thing of helping somebody up because they are simply in pain or hurt, even if and especially if this is somebody you claim to love and care about, even if you guys were upset or in a physical thing in the moment. And the last thing I'll say about that too is that from a PR perspective, it might have behooved him to help her up because he did look dead at the camera and kind of had that look like, fuck, I know this is going to get out eventually or something like that. So, in my mind, if I'm Quavo, I might help her up simply because the optics of doing so might look better whenever this did eventually come out. Because yeah, we got into a skirmish or a physical altercation, but then I also helped her up. Now, if she rejected the help or whatever, we don't know that would happen. So it's really kind of three lenses I would look at that too.
Okay.
If you and I got into some type of physical altercation like that, first of all, that's a kind of a problem in itself. And then if you did not help me up or did not try to help me up, I may have not tried to help you up because you wouldn't have wanted my help. You may not. I
exactly.
May not.
So I'd have been like, let me help you up, and then you'd have been like, get the fuck out of here, and I'm like, fuck out of your dumb ass.
Exactly. It's very possible, but there's also some people who would have accepted.
But I would have never,
Or somebody could have been, or somebody.
I know to keep my hands to myself.
Yes. So
some people don't.
Some people didn't or don't. Okay. So, so my point being though is that there's also people out there who'd be like, so you're not going to try and help me up? Like, it really just depends on the two people involved.
All right.
So yeah.
Land the plane.
So that's what happened. So now so they both released statements in the last week or so, kind of addressing what happened. So she said, her statement said, "This unfortunate incident happened a year ago. While we have reconciled since then and moved past this particular disagreement, there were simply too many other hurdles to overcome in our relationship, and we have both since moved on. I kindly ask that everyone respect my privacy during this time." And so he responded. He then came out with a statement after her and said, "We had an unfortunate situation almost a year ago that we both learned and moved on from. I haven't physically abused Sweetie, and I have real gratitude for what we did share overall." So you can tell us now where your issue comes in.
My issue is that, first off, people are saying that that's physical abuse and he's abusive, and I'm just like, they were tussling over whatever they were tussling over. Yes. If that was two students, you'd have been like, they're horseplaying. But because they're in a relationship, we automatically assume that it's physical violence or whatever. And I also think it's funny that it comes out right when it's like they broke up. They broke up, and now this video that happened a year ago comes out. Why?
I think that
why didn't it come out a year ago?
Because somebody might have been sitting on it waiting for the right perfect time. Because that's not something that either of them, I think, would have wanted to come out. I think that that's sometimes when people think it's like, oh, it's a come up. Like, so Quavo and Saweetie are in the news, and they just broke up, and it's like there was a little bit of like shade kind of thrown back and forth on their parts after their breakup was announced, and so. To me, anyway, that seems like it's a time where a person could be like, this is like striking while the iron is hot. Because they're already in the news for like a separation. So now it's like, here, I'm going to drop this and whatever. And, people, TMZ pays well. So people are going to, whoever was working the elevator operator or
my issue with it is
security.
That people jump at the conclusions. And then it's a double standard. It's like, if it's a woman... they automatically say that he was being abusive or whatever. But, I think about when Beyonce and Solange situation happened. Mm-hmm. Why weren't people saying press charges on her and stuff like that? So, it was just like, oh, she's defending her sister, so it's okay. Like, a woman, like the double standard is that a woman can hit a man, but a man can't hit a woman. Like, a man can't defend himself, but a woman can do whatever she wants because she's a woman. And then they, it falls into the line like, well, it's a woman. You're a man. You should have more constraint or whatever. And
so I can understand that in the sentiment of like, I'm a subscriber of like, everybody keep their hands to themselves. Nobody touch anybody, right? I think that, there could have been a call to arms of like Solange, assaulted Jay-Z, and she shouldn't be putting her hands on anybody else like or anything like that. But I think where the kind of like the celebration of what she did versus what happened with Quavo and Saweetie comes in is because, I mean, granted, we got greater context down the line through like Lemonade and all that stuff like that, and 444. Was it 444 or was it the Carters? Whatever it was. Point is like, I think because most abuse, or at least reported abuse, is domestic violence situations are the man is the abuser against the woman.
No, I get that.
So that's why it's the narrative or it's the prevailing thought that when it's a domestic situation between a man and a woman, the initial thought can sometimes be that it's the man. Now, every situation is different and should be examined. But that's when the double standard
helps the women, in my opinion.
It can sometimes, just like there's plenty of double standards that help men.
If a man takes advantage of a woman, it's rape. If a woman does it, it's still rape, but they don't call it rape. Women will taunt somebody and be like, "What you want tell on me?"
And that's 100% wrong.
So I know, but I'm just saying that's the world that we live in. The world that we live in, it's...
But that's why we have to work to break those narratives.
No, definitely.
And the thing is like, but the thing about double standards is that they're wrong because they harm another, they are harmful or they are unfair to a group of people. And so in some cases it's men and in some cases it's women. So really the issue should be, how do we break down and kind of like get rid of stereotypes, double standards, as opposed to getting angry at the other group that is benefiting from that particular double standard, because we know that it's not all men, just like it's not all women. And we know that it's a thing of how, like, we should be, we do need to examine things on a case by case basis, but we also do have to look at trends. We have to look at the fact that, like, at least, like I said, the more reported cases of assault or sexual violence are perpetrated against women. But does that mean that there are not men who have been victims of sexual assault and violence? There absolutely are. But we have to abandon the narrative that, like, oh, if you're a man and you trying to turn away pussy, or you trying to turn away whatever, that you a bitch, you this, that, and the other. That's absolutely fucked up and wrong. And that is a double standard, because that makes men feel like, boys and men feel like they are, they're weak or they're soft for reporting that stuff. When no, it's just like those things, those women who do that need to be absolutely held accountable as well. Same way how women, men who, the double standards that benefit men that don't benefit women also need to be eradicated, also need to be changed. The narrative needs to be changed, and it needs to come. But the thing about it, though, is that it needs to come from both sides, especially though it needs to come from the side of the people who benefit from the double standard, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, if I'm talking about sexual assault, whatever, I'm going to, of course, make sure that I'm going to speak out against sexual violence or abuse against any person, men or women, because I know men go through it too, even if women are even though women are the largest demographic. Just because they're the biggest demographic doesn't mean what happens to men doesn't matter or isn't just as wrong. But the same way, men need to speak out against abusive relationships or whatever, when they know that men are the larger demographic of perpetrators of that type of violence, even though it may not be them or the people they know that exists. Or that, what's a double standard that men benefit from that women don't? Sexual partners, right? People, and again, I know more times than not, like, we're at a place now where some people are like, how many sexual partners you've had doesn't really matter, as long as you are safe and responsible. It doesn't matter if you've had one partner in your lifetime or you've had 100. But the double standard becomes women get more harshly judged for having more sexual partners than men do. And it needs to be not just women speaking out against that double standard. It also needs to be men. And so when it comes to, like, the Quavo and Saweetie situation, to kind of circle back to, like, the actual point of it, right? I feel like you kind of, and this is, we spoke about this briefly after Saweetie put her comment out, but before Quavo did. And you were like, you took issue with her comment, I felt like, or her statement, because you were like, she didn't explicitly say he didn't abuse me. And so I felt like, but I didn't think that there was anything wrong with what she said, because I feel like. So
when you read his thing, he literally said, he even gave her a compliment, like, what we shared was special. Uh-huh. Her thing was kind of like, oh, that happened a year ago.
And we reconciled and we moved on.
And I asked for your privacy.
But there were other obstacles and then to overcome. Yeah. I just don't think, what else did you want from her? You wanted her to be like, he didn't abuse me, but because my thing is this.
I do want her to say that.
But just like we don't know, but let me say this. Just like we can't assume that he is abusive, we also can't assume that we can. Wow.
But the ball's in her court.
Just like we can't assume that they were not in an abusive relationship and this was a one-off situation, we can't presume that they weren't in an abusive relationship.
That's
so we can't 100%. Make it a presumption either way. So the fact that she gave like a kind of a neutral statement isn't a bad thing, because I think she's trying to keep her business to herself as much as possible. It's probably a humiliating situation, period, for both of them.
It probably is, but I also feel like if you know that he didn't abuse you or whatever, I don't know, because again, it seems like, how can I say it? Mm-hmm. I feel like y'all were in love, whatever, or whatever the case may be, and people are saying that this person is abusive to you, and that's the chance that you could be like, no, he's not. Especially as a black man in America who's famous, they are looking to tear us apart. So if he didn't do that or whatever,
She has to go the extra mile to clear his name.
She has the power to do so, yes.
Okay.
Nope, he was not abusive.
But
when you leave it like, that happened a year ago, but but there's way too much boundaries. Now, listen, if he was a cheater, then cool. But are you going to say that the cheating was abusive, or like? I mean,
there could be, there could be a mental and a emotional component of abuse in cheating as well. But I think the thing about it is, like, I just don't feel like it's fair to ask her one way or the other, because, and like I said, like, I'm kind of Switzerland on this as far as like kind of a little bit neutral or whatever, because, I'm the same way how we don't know enough about those 15 to 20 seconds that we saw in the elevator to make a blanket statement about Quavo being an abusive partner, or this being a totally abusive relationship, is the same way how we can't say that, use those 15 to 20 seconds of whatever we think didn't happen to say that it wasn't an abusive relationship, or he or she or both of them weren't abusive toward each other or whatever. It's like, we can't make that call either way. So her not necessarily explicitly saying Quavo's not abusive, don't do this, that, and the other, is really not fair to me, fair for her to ask her to do that, when I feel like what she said was, at least to me, sufficient enough to say, like, this was an unfortunate incident. We reconciled, we moved past it. So kind of showing that, like, hey, we dealt with it and we moved on, but there were other components that we were just not able to overcome. And that now we broke up.
But when you leave it that ambiguous, it makes it seem like that this happened more than once. To me, that's what I take from it. Like, and
and that could be what you take from it, but does that also? And I'm the same way how that couldn't, maybe that could be a false inference that she's allowing people to make. It could also be a true one. We don't know.
You're right. To me, especially, or even if she would have been like, he didn't abuse me here, or whatever the case. I don't know. I just feel like automatically you see them tussling, and because he's a man, he's not supposed to grab whatever is his, or whatever the case may be. Like, and then there's different versions of the video that you've seen. So if they only showed us the part where they were tussling in the elevator, it may look like, oh shit, he's doing whatever. But if you see the one where it's like she's like pushing him first, and then he's like going for it, it's just. But for me, you can go after this.
Yeah, I'm just giving you the cue.
For me, I just don't like the fact that it's like, because he's a man, he's not supposed to defend himself, or whatever the case may be, and it's just like that double standard. Like, because you're a man, you're not supposed to do nothing, or because you're a man, a woman can beat on you, but you can't defend yourself. Like, you can't hit her back because she's a woman and you're a man, and it's different. But you can't have equality like that. Like, if that's the case, then a woman should never put her hands on a man ever.
Well, and that's why I subscribe to no one should put their hands on anyone, because
do you?
Yeah, I do. I do subscribe to that. I listen. I know we talked about the time right before you proposed to me where I did that, and I was wrong. But I'm not. I've never said stop. Like, I
didn't say anything.
I've never said I wasn't. And we talked about it on other people's podcasts. I've never said I wasn't wrong for that or whatever. I talk about how angry I got, and I was at a place where, like, I felt like you were mocking me and you were making fun, and I was so frustrated with you. But it still doesn't account for me, justify the fact that I did that. But it's still a thing of, like, in the 17 years that we've been together, like, that is not something that we subscribe to. We don't put our hands on each other all the time or anything else like
Should've
that.
Left your ass.
I mean, would have been your prerogative. That would have been your right.
I mean, cheat or beat.
And so those are my non-negotiables. And I had a momentary lapse, and I was wrong for it. But I also know that, like, it was definitely truly out of my character. But to your point, though, the reason why I had my kind of hand raised a little bit, though, is that if your argument, I understand your argument, but then if we follow that same logic or that same argument that you're trying to make, then shouldn't it also be on Quavo's point to be explicit about Saweetie not being abusive? Because there are some people saying she was wrong, she hit him, she's the abuser, because they talk about the part where it looks like she like swings on him or whatever first. So if that is the case, and if that is the case, if you're saying that the person,
the narrative isn't the narrative isn't. I haven't heard anyone say anything about Saweetie being.
Oh, I've seen the comments like this ain't abuse.
No, I'm saying I haven't seen anybody be like Saweetie was the aggressor or anything like that.
I've seen
all my comments I've seen have been about Quavo. So that's all I'm saying.
I've seen it where it's been more in defense of Quavo, or that they were both wrong, or that she was wrong. I've seen it kind of run the gamut. I've seen like a little bit of everything.
Honestly,
but to your point though, if you feel like it should be her responsibility to explicitly say that he is not abusive, shouldn't it also be his responsibility to express that she is not abusive? And the fact that he only said...
Now you want to go on what came first, the chicken or the egg type situation?
But it comes back to what my point, which is that we do not have enough information to condemn either of them, or to say that to condemn one or the other of them, or to say that this wasn't a toxic or abusive relationship where one or both parties contributed to the problem. And so it's just like
the fact that he had to come out and say, I haven't physically abused Saweetie, and have real gratitude for what we did share overall. The fact that he had to say, like, I'm not abusive, because again, the reason why he's saying it is because people are saying that he's abusive.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's why the onus would be like, to me, if you know that he's not abusive, you can clear that air right then and there. You know what? He wasn't abusive. He was a cheater. He was a terrible boyfriend. That's different. But you're allowing the narrative of him being... You
saying you feel like you feel as though she's purposely making it ambiguous.
I do, yeah.
Okay, but also you also know and I'm not saying that that's wrong, and I'm not saying that couldn't be true, but you also know on the other end of the spectrum, she could be keeping it vague because she's trying to keep it cute, because he is abusive, and that people who sometimes are abusers lie about being abusive.
Allegedly.
People do both.
No, I'm saying we're talking about. I mean, all this is.
It is alleged.
It's alleged.
Ultimately, it's all speculation. But what I'm saying to you is that the same way how you're perceiving it, someone else can take it the other way.
I mean, we shouldn't be this wrapped up in it because, again, it's their own personal life.
Yeah, but it's an understanding of like.
No, I get that. I'm not taking it away from the situation. I mean, it's a part of our life. It's pop culture and all other stuff. But I'm just saying, we get so. Like, are we this involved in, the neighbor downstairs who beats on his wife? Are we that in, like, what I mean? Like, I'm saying putting it on a bigger scale. Like, we care more so because they're celebrities. If they weren't celebrities, we wouldn't
know about it to have an opinion.
No, we might know about it, but we wouldn't have cared about it. Like, I'm pretty sure there's people who know people who are abusive or been in abusive stuff. And their stories aren't online or nothing like that because they're the average person. But because these people are celebrities, we hold them in a higher light for some reason. So
I mean, they're more visible. So and then
that's all I'm saying.
Their public presence makes people feel like they are entitled to have an opinion about the way that they live their lives or the things that happen in their lives. And we ultimately don't, but I will say this, in like any instances of physical altercations, of physical violence, of emotional, mental, psychological abuse, like if they exist in a relationship, which I'm not saying one way or the other because I simply do not have enough information to make a blanket statement about Quavo and Saweetie. Not you.
Typically, you don't even need information. You just go from the gut.
No, I don't go. I go off of. So I believe. Let me say this. Until otherwise given additional information, if somebody says something explicitly, then I'm not super invested in them, but I'm not going to say that they're lying. So Saweetie was pretty clear, was very clear that he cheated on her, and that's why they broke up. Like before this video came out or whatever. So
was she?
Yeah, she talked about him sharing your affection with other women or whatever. Like, and I'm paraphrasing. Okay. So it was clear in her statement that they broke up because he was unfaithful. I have no reason to not believe her. So that's where I operate out of.
You have no reason to not believe. So just because someone says something, you got to believe them. You have no reason.
I have no reason.
You have no reason.
I have no reason not to believe him. I don't know her personally to question. I don't.
Well, maybe that's the difference too, right?
I don't have any investment.
Because for me, you
don't believe anything.
A lot of times I don't.
But my thing,
like when I first met Nelson, he said he played for Temple. I was like, okay, Google that shit. And then once it found,
I understand. Because I understand people can definitely be.
I've also had people who. I mean, listen, people say shit just to say shit.
Some people do, yeah.
A lot of, well, I'm not, sorry, I don't want to generalize everybody, but yes, there are a lot of people who say shit just to say shit, or, they talk shit just to talk shit. You'd be like, yeah, I just bought this, and they'd be like, oh, I bought that 6 years ago. It was like, it wasn't even created 6 years ago. But I'm just saying, so for me, I'm always, again, depending on what the situation is and what I know about that person, then that determines how much I trust that. How much I trust and believe.
And that's fair. And so what I'll say is this, is that coming from, again, not knowing them personally, but and seeing and up until the moment that they broke up, I was like, oh, they seem like a happy couple. They look like they're having fun with each other. Great, good for them. And I wasn't giving them much thought. She said he cheated. That's why they broke up. I have no reason not to believe her. And then using the context of a lot of people, particularly men who are a part of or in the entertainment industry, have a lot more, especially when you're a celebrity, you have a lot more access to pussy, and you have pussy being thrown at you left and right. So even if you have what at least on the surface seems like a great relationship going for you with a beautiful woman, you still, the likelihood, because the opportunity to cheat is probably way higher than the average nigga, it also kind of lends itself to being believable. Now, but the also thing is, what I'm saying is that I didn't give it any more thought past that. Like, she said it, they broke up, okay, we're good. I'm not giving it that much more energy or effort to try and decipher whether or not she's being true or not, or whether she's being untruthful or not. And then and so when we talk about people, believing people, whatever, and like, so to back to your point though, is like, I like to think I don't make snap judgments off of people, in the sense that just based off of like inference and stuff like that. Like, I'm not making a snap judgment off of this altercation that happened. But if somebody explicitly says something, and especially if I don't know them, or I can only go off of like some context, or like what is explicitly told to me, and I have no other context to go off of, then I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna believe them until proven otherwise. And then, but also, like, you have to, sometimes I will look at like sometimes the context, and also, just because I am quicker to come to a conclusion or a decision or an opinion about something doesn't mean that I'm also ill-informed. It just means that I've either, and I'm not talking about just in celebrity culture.
I'm just busting your chops.
I know, but I think that that's been something that's come up in the past on the show, and it's like, I give people grace that I know that I don't know, and then I also operate off of like, okay, if you tell me that your name is TJ, I'm gonna believe that your name is TJ, and then until proven otherwise.
But that's different though. Like telling someone your name and talking about this person beat on me. Yeah, I'm not gonna take your word just because you said it. Because again, people say shit just to say shit.
Yeah, and people, but also again, just to highlight the other side of this, is that people, men and women, are not believed also because their word is not good enough for anyone, and that is it's a slippery slope. It's a really hard place to be, because yes, I understand that we are naturally skeptical, cynical people, and
you don't think that we should be though?
I think we absolutely we
don't live
need
in a world where everyone is just going to be truthful. Everybody, I agree. Everyone is always going to have their representative. There's going to be people who's going to borrow their friends' clothes and rock it like it's their own, or they got an older brother or whatever. Like, people are always going to try to present their
public version of themselves.
Yeah, they're going to try to present what they think everybody would like, as opposed to just being themselves.
I'm not saying that discernment isn't crucial, but we have to be very mindful about being too naive, but also too cynical, because cynicism and naivete are things that can get you caught up either way. So yes, I believe in discernment. I believe in using what people tell you, using what information you can find, facts that you can find. I think using historical trends or data. I believe in using context. I also believe that there's a sense, there also is a little bit of like a gut that you have to go with. There's a little bit of that sprinkled in there too. But I would like to think I probably lean a little bit more to being more of a trusting person, but I'm not so naive that I can't either amend my statement if something comes out to be not true, that I was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm gonna give it credit, or I was showing taking it at face value. But I'm also I caution, or I have caution around people who are overly cynical or always cynical about stuff, because my thing is, then if you don't ever believe anybody, nobody's gonna come to you with shit.
I'm not saying don't believe people, but what I'm just trying to say is that we have to normalize people being skeptical, because again, just because somebody tells you something does not mean it's the truth.
I think skepticism is the prevailing thought. That's what
I'm saying.
I feel like more people are skeptical of everything, especially because of the culture that we're currently.
But it's okay for you to be skeptical. It's okay for you not to believe that. So someone tell you something, it's okay for you to be like, well, I just want to fact check it first. It's okay for that. Like, that's what school has taught us, right? Fact check, right? Mm-hmm. Because in school they teach us Christopher Columbus founded America. No, he stole America.
Mm-hmm. But also you have to understand is that if somebody comes to you and say, TJ, I was raped. TJ, I was abused. Man or woman, right? I'm not saying, let me finish. Mm-hmm. TJ, I am struggling in something. I'm battling something like that, right? And
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying in those situations you shouldn't believe anybody. Again, if someone says that they're raped or whatever, like if someone says something that's super serious, you give them that opportunity. But again, we're talking about the media, the world has said he's an abuser. And if he truly was an abuser, you had the power to say he's not an abuser. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
You're absolutely right.
That's all I'm saying.
But also, if he indeed is or was, then that's also not her responsibility to combat that. It just depends.
If he was a fucking abuser, no, he should know.
She should call him out as an abuser.
100%.
But she's going to be met with that same skepticism, which is going to be like, she's lying.
I mean, people are going to, all right, but people are going to say that shit regardless.
But the thing about it is that she's going to be, she can be demonized.
She didn't come out and say whatever. She came out and said,
she gave more of a neutral response, because maybe the neutral response was for her the best course of action. Because if he's not an abuser, then she's not necessarily, and again, we don't know what the line of thinking was, but if he's not an abuser, her, if she, like, think about, people are going to have a comment or going to have an angle on anything that she would have said. If she said he's not an abuser explicitly, it could be like, oh, she's just covering up for him. Oh, she's lying. Oh, let me finish. Oh, see, this lying ass bitch, she's wrong.
But they're gonna do that regardless.
But my
people are gonna do that regardless.
So that's why it could be that she is taking a more neutral approach to it, which is like, because then if she said, because if let's say for her argument's sake, Quavo was beating her ass all the time, and that was just one, we saw a snippet of something that was indicative of a much bigger serious problem in their relationship where he was abusive. And if she comes out and says this was just a minor event that we've experienced, I've had black eyes, I've been punched, I've been kicked, all this other stuff like that, then they're going to call her stupid for staying that long. They're going to say that she's lying.
They're going to say it regardless.
So, my thing is this, is that is where yes, we have to apply discernment, but we also need to change the narrative of, like, we have to be discerning, but we also need to start to believe people when they tell us something is wrong, because you don't, like, what I see this a lot on social media sometimes when they talk about when anybody's like in the public sphere is going through something, if it's like abuse or if it's as far as like physical, mental, or if it's like drug abuse, like again, prayers for DMX right now because he's fighting for his life and stuff. But I see this that comes up a lot of times where people are going through something in the public sphere, and then people on social media are making jokes about it, and somebody posted.
I know, but people are gonna make jokes about shit regardless.
Yeah, but my point I'm trying to make is that the post that I've seen sometimes is like, yeah, the people that you're talking about, the celebrities that you're making fun of may not see that, but the person that you fuck with, that's addicted to fentanyl or on opioids, or that is suicidal or is whatever, is seeing you clown these people, and they're not going to feel like they feel comfortable to come share with their trauma or their problem with you because they see how you're talking about other people. So we have to be discerning. We can't take every single thing at face value, but also we have to be mindful of that. Sometimes our being too naive or too skeptical can sometimes, when we put that out into the universe, we are sometimes inadvertently communicating our stances to people that we are close to, that we don't understand what their struggles are. So that's all I have to say on that. I think that her response was probably the best possible response that she could give. I think his response was the best possible response he could give.
Ultimately, I just feel like at the end of the day, we have these double standards, and it's crazy that, again, these double standards can happen, and it can ruin people's careers, truthful or non-truthful, and no one gives a fuck about the truth, because once the lie is always better than the truth. Mm-hmm. So that's just my thing. So
I mean, it is, and it's unfortunate either way, and ultimately, one way or the other, Quavo, Saweetie, anybody in between, somebody or everybody suffers. And so in this case, I'm gonna say we don't know who might be suffering more, but folks suffer because it sucks, because we need to a greater balance needs to be struck where people do need to be believed, but we also do need to be discerning and not necessarily take everything at face value. It's a slippery slope, but you have to take a case by case basis, but we also have to look at trends, history, context, and all of the latter. We have to use the information that's available to us, and we have to, sometimes, not always, believe people when they say what they're saying. Sometimes. But that's all I have on that.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, this is a quarrel that we're gonna agree to disagree.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I win. Thank you, y'all.
Anyway, y'all, this has been another episode of Lovers Quarrel. Thank you guys for coming back and rocking and rolling with us. We hope that you will like, share, follow, tag, and spread the word about this episode, being that we had to take a hiatus of sorts because of this new baby. So blame the baby and not us.
I'm blaming you.
Anyway.
I blame Dani.
But thank you guys as always for rocking with us, and we hope that you're just excited as we are for our next chapter in this journey that we are taking and that you guys are going to take with us. And as always, you can find us on Instagram at Lovers Quarrel Show, on Twitter at Lovers Quarrel 7, or email us at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. And you know that, as always, I am your girl, Dani.
And I'm your guy, TJ.
And you know that we fuss.
We fight, but we love. Bye. Your pregnant ass.
Yeah, your baby, nigga.
I hope so.
Shut up. See? You being skeptical?
Listen, can't trust you.
Whatever. Fuck out of here.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.